YaBonks giveaway coming soon. Check it out. Link in the description. $300 Citadel tokens, $100 to 3 people each. Defender Finance. Check it out. And I'm probably going to do a Gleam.io giveaway. I'll set that up before I publish the video. It's going to be super fun. And yeah, what do you think of that? Do you want to give us an elevator pitch, bird's eye view of what Defender Finance is?
Well, like you mentioned, Defender Finance is a tomb fork, but it's not a typical tomb fork. We've gone from a traditional tomb fork with the start of Champion and added a lot of features there, and the team took what they learned there and even advanced it further with Defender. So I think some of the main advantages, like you mentioned in your introduction, was that our board house, the Fortress as we call it, does not emit PEG token directly to the investors as a way to protect the price of the PEG token. All of the PEG token is emitted directly to the Treasury, and then the Treasury buys and sells the token as needed to maintain the price and to provide rewards for those that are staking in the boardroom. So that and the strive to deepen the liquidity in the protocol through our Citadel are the two major strong points that I think we have over a traditional style of a tomb fork.
Absolutely. And if I am not mistaken, your PEG token called Sword is pegged to Ethereum 1-for-1. So theoretically, when the bull market comes back around, the value of the overall ecosystem should be pulled up along with Ethereum, right?
That's correct. That's why they chose Ethereum to peg to, and for our pools and stuff, we pegged our share token shield to BNB on the Binance chain. So
nice. Okay. And some of the things you mentioned, so the protocol owned liquidity, I believe you are using a similar method and contract that was inspired by EMP Money's detonator contract. Is that right?
Yeah, it's similar to that, except ours is on the PEG token, like you mentioned, instead of the share token. But it's pegged to Ethereum, and when investors put that in our Citadel, it's a locked LP. They get returns on that up to 365%, but their initial is locked into that contract, and they earn those rewards on a daily basis from there.
Oh, but real quick, David, I want to simplify this. I know you were saying, I know it can be daunting, but it really breaks down to a few simple parts. And I know a lot of you are familiar with EMP, and I know a lot of you are familiar with Dex Finance, especially if you've been watching my videos. So to simplify this whole thing, the Fortress, Dex Finance, okay? This Fortress and this DAO/POL, this whole thing, Dex Finance. Just think of it that way. All right, and Citadel, EMP detonator contract. Now they're different slightly, right? They've got their differences, but if you want to simplify this in a way that might make it easier to relate it to things you might already be familiar with, imagine the Boardroom, which is the Fortress, and the Treasury management contracts that go into managing the PEG token stuff. That was like Dex Finance's big claim to fame and what's kept them going strong for like a year. So boom, they took the best part of Dex Finance, incorporated it, made it their own. Boom, the Citadel, just like the Reactor contract from EMP Money. Boom, they made this thing inspired by that, made it their own, made it work for it. So this whole thing is like they just took Dex and EMP and made it this like really unique thing right here. And then this is what you already know: auto compounders and LP farms. So, and then they're gonna release this like OTC peer-to-peer basically Citadel position swapper. At some point, you're gonna see this come out. And that's Defender Finance, and then they've got revenue streams coming at it. Like, what do we? Like, you had 5 or 6 revenue streams coming in. So, did I lay that out in a way that was understandable?
You did for me.
Yeah. All right. Hey everyone, it's Alex here, and on today's episode of the YaBonks Show, I have a very special guest with me today. I have David from Defender Finance, sister protocol to Champion Finance on the Avalanche network. And Defender Finance is an interesting protocol. It's a seigniorage protocol, or some of you might know them as tomb forks. However, this one has multiple revenue streams, as well as a Defender style analogy where they're building up a defense against selling of the peg using protocol owned liquidity, as well as preventing people from selling the peg token directly from the boardroom using an ETF style reward token similar to Dex Finance. And they're actually using an ROI token that gets deposited straight into an EMP detonator as a service like contract called the Citadel. They've got a lot going on here. David, do you want to say hi to the audience and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself?
My background, I guess, is not personally, instead of not related to the necessarily related directly to Defender, but I have a little bit of computer background. That's where I came out of high school and did that for a long while. Programming, database administration, all that kind of stuff, which I hear you have a similar type background. So I got involved in cryptocurrency just probably 6 or 7 years ago. Amazed since I was involved in computers type stuff and technology that I hadn't heard about it before then, but really just on the end of buying it back then. Got involved in DeFi, my first exposure to DeFi just within the last year or so. So I'm kind of new myself to all this and learning as I go, enjoying it as I do it.
You and me both. Now, how you're not technically the developer or founder of Defender. What role do you have on the team?
Yeah, I'm the head of the community. The dev team, the core team is 3 other individuals, and they, like you mentioned, Champion Finance. Mm-hmm. They designed and built Champion Finance, and I came on there as a investor initially, and just through involvement on the Discord, got in with them. The developers are all from various areas in the Far East, so they needed a little hand-holding on this side of the globe, and asked me if I'd be willing to do that. So I came on board to help them in the Discord to start off with, and have taken on some additional roles since then to do this type of thing. And I do the educational materials that we have on the Discord too. So
excellent. And for those of you watching, you might remember a couple months ago I did an AMA with Aaron from Champion Finance. He's the founder of both Champion and Defender. And if you remember, he is Vietnamese, I believe, and isn't super fluid in English. He's very intelligent and great at written English, but kind of hard to understand during for some words. So we worked a lot on that AMA, and I recommended, I'm like, the best thing you could probably do for your protocol is, hire on somebody who speaks fluent English to help you guys, communicate, get your message across easier. And I think it would go a long way. And I've seen you, David, now doing a few AMAs, like the one with DeFi Raiders with Relentless, one of my buddies out here, and that was an excellent AMA. So I think Aaron and his team have done a fantastic job by bringing you on board.
Well, I don't know if they made the right choice necessarily or not, but at least they offered it, and I was willing to take a leap with them. So they're good guys to work with. I've enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, kind of a funny story. As you can see from seeing me here, I'm probably older than your typical person that's involved in cryptocurrency and DeFi. And the first time I talked to Aaron face to face, when we first, got on screen, and he looked at me, he said, "Oh, how old are you?" And I told him how old I was, and he said, "Well, you're old enough to be my father." And he said, I think I'm just going to call you Uncle." So that's kind of my nickname with Aaron and the dev team, and some of the guys in the Discord. They call me Uncle.
Oh, that's great. And Aaron's a great guy. I've enjoyed talking with him over quite a few months now, and they have a very inventive team. They build faster than basically any team I know out here. They're super fast with stuff. So that seems to be their specialty, is build, and I'm glad they brought you on, because it seems like you're doing a fantastic job with the community and these AMAs.
Well, they keep me on my toes, that's for sure, because I'm still learning in the DeFi arena, and they put it out almost as fast as I can learn it. I have to keep fussing at them to let me know when stuff's coming down the pike, because I need to be able to teach it to people, or at least just talk about it intelligently. So, yeah, they're very good.
Yeah, it's interesting because every time somebody comes up with a new idea to improve seigniorage protocols, they seem to roll out their own version of it. Even if it's not a fork, they'll write their own version of that similar concept in a very short amount of time. And it's quite impressive if you ask me. I know some other project owners are going to be like, "Hey, you guys," but I think it's cool. This is DeFi. It's a fast-paced space, and by the time I publish this, they're probably gonna have some new stuff rolled out already.
Oh yeah.
So, before we get into some of that new stuff they're working on, do you want to give us an elevator pitch, bird's eye view of what Defender Finance is?
Well, like you mentioned, Defender Finance is a tomb fork, but it's not a typical tomb fork. We've gone from a traditional tomb fork with the start of Champion and added a lot of features there, and the team took what they learned there and even advanced it further with Defender. So I think some of the main advantages, like you mentioned in your introduction, was that our board house, the fortress as we call it, does not emit peg token directly to the investors as a way to protect the price of the peg token. All of the peg token is emitted directly to the treasury, and then the treasury buys and sells the token as needed to maintain the price and to provide rewards for those that are staking in the boardroom. So that, and the strive to deepen the liquidity in the protocol through our Citadel are the two major strong points that I think we have over a traditional style of a tomb fork.
Absolutely. And if I am not mistaken, your peg token called Sword is pegged to Ethereum 1-for-1. So theoretically, when the bull market comes back around, the value of the overall ecosystem should be pulled up along with Ethereum, right?
That's correct. That's why they chose Ethereum to peg to, and for our pools and stuff, we peg our share token shield to BNB on the Binance chain. So
nice. Okay, and some of the things you mentioned. So the protocol owned Liquidity, I believe you are using a similar method and contract that was inspired by EMP Money's detonator contract. Is that right?
Yeah, it's similar to that, except ours is on the peg token, like you mentioned, instead of the share token. But it's again, it's pegged to Ethereum. And when investors put that in the in our Citadel, it's a locked LP. They get returns on that up to 365%, but their initial is locked into that contract, and they earn those rewards on a daily basis from there.
Okay, and just to clarify, the detonator contract on EMP is actually with the peg token. The reactor contract, which is like a same exact contract, right, but the reactor's for the share, and correct. Now, if I heard correctly, I've heard some whisperings around Discord. Is there potentially going to be a partnership or collaboration with EMP?
Well, we're hoping to have their detonator as a service for the share token as well. As a matter of fact, we had talked with them at the launch of Defender, but they've been so busy with all their own development and other projects they were working on, they couldn't get it done for us in time. So we're still talking with them. Hopefully here in the next few weeks, we might have that available for us too.
Nice. I actually have an AMA with AJ in about 9 days, so I'll be I've been talking with him every day. I'll put in a word for you guys and say, hey, make sure to get that detonator as a service going for Defender share token.
There you go.
I'll put a little bug in his ear.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And now, speaking of very popular and successful seigniorage protocols like EMP Money, you've also developed something inspired by another behemoth of a seigniorage protocol that has been chugging along above peg for I think over a year now. So your Fortress Boardroom is inspired by Dex Finance's Boardroom. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I mentioned, instead of emitting the peg token directly to stakers in the boardroom, then that peg token is emitted to the treasury, and they manage it then to ensure the long-term profitability and stability for the protocol.
So the Fortress is the boardroom. People go and they stake their share token, which is called Shield, and so they stake their shield in the Fortress, and that then emits sword token when everything's above peg. When sword's above peg, it emits the peg token directly to the treasury, and it's basically hands off for the investors. They don't get the peg like that, like in other Toon Forks.
They don't get the peg anymore. Yeah, and then everybody doesn't have to worry about the sell-offs that typically have happened with the peg token driving the price down, and then they're below peg for a long period of time. So
yeah, and I've seen, people will gather and accumulate peg token in other Toon Forks and then keep it below peg and manipulate it for their own benefit. And this removes that, and it also removes the psychological panic selling. If it's below peg, people won't even be able to dump it because the treasury is managing it automatically, right?
Right. Yeah, there's no race to be the first one out, and everybody's selling on top of everybody else. On top of that, even when the peg token does get out in the wild, the contract has safeguards built into it to limit the number of sells that can be done within a certain period of time, and the maximum amount of sells on the peg token that can happen.
What are those limits?
During any one transaction? There's a limit on any one sell to 0.5% of the circulating supply of the peg token of sword, and any one wallet can only do one sell transaction every 5 minutes.
Okay, so that would stop somebody from trying to sell, $100,000 all at once, which I have seen in real time in a Toon Fork, and people just freak out. So this would prevent that. That's good. So it's got multiple mechanisms in place. It's got the boardroom, the Fortress, which mints all sword tokens, all the peg token, to the treasury. The treasury does its magic to make the liquidity and do all those things to make protocol own liquidity and to buy the blue chip assets like Ethereum and BNB to make the LP pairs that it needs. And then in addition to that, to protect the peg, there's a 0.5% sell maximum on the circulating supply of the peg token, so nobody can sell more than 0.5% of the circulating supply in one sell. And then there's a 5 minute limit, so you can only sell once every 5 minutes, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. I think I'm getting it. So
you're picking it up. You're coming right along.
We've only been talking about this for like 8 hours straight, so I think we've got it pretty well figured out. Now, instead of the peg token, that the boardroom instead, what does the boardroom emit when the peg token is above TWAP or above peg?
Well, maybe we should talk about our Citadel, which we did mention earlier, is the LP node type of staking pool. What's staked in there is investors would form Sword Ethereum LP and stake it into the Citadel. When they do that, they receive a Citadel token in return for that Citadel receipt token. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing that the Fortress emits to investors. You stake your shield in the Fortress, and the Fortress emits a Citadel token as rewards. I was going to say, then when the investors make their claim in the Fortress, in the boardroom, they don't actually receive anything from that, but that Citadel token is then directly staked into the Citadel for them to start earning rewards in the Citadel.
And the Citadel is the EMP detonator inspired ROI contract that I mentioned earlier, correct?
Correct.
All right, so the Fortress, the boardroom emits the LP receipt token, sword/ETH LP receipt token called Citadel. And right. it shoots the Citadel token directly into the Citadel ROI 365% ROI reward contract inspired by EMP Money's detonator. And then what happens?
And then it's locked in there, just earning rewards on a daily basis. So they have the opportunity to claim those rewards just like you would out of any other pool. They can claim them in LP form. The rewards in the Citadel are in actual LP form in Sword Ethereum LP. They can claim that and split it and sell it if they choose. However, if they choose to compound instead of claiming, they get an additional 20% of their rewards added back to the amount that gets redeposited into their account. So it doesn't increase the return. They still can get a maximum of 365% return, but it increases the rate at which they get that return on. So they're increasing their APR by 20%.
And if I remember correctly, that 365% is 365% of whatever you initially deposited plus all additional deposits plus all compounds, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, you would, just like a typical node type, if you kept compounding in, you're just adding to your base amount in there, so you earn another 365% on what you compounded in as well.
Awesome. Now, you said if you compound in the Citadel, you get a 20% compounding bonus, correct?
Right. So the percentage, you'll see a percentage in the app in the Citadel that you're earning on a daily basis. Like right now, it's somewhere around 2.4% or 2.3% or something. So if you compound, you're really getting 20% more than that. So, and on top of that, there's in the same detonator style, there's an additional 6%. What do they call it? I can't remember. 6%
instant deposits.
Yeah, instant deposit. That's what I'm looking for. that's added to that as well. So you really get a much higher rate than the APR that's showing on the D app.
Okay, so on the D app, it'll right now you said it's showing like 2.4% a day or something, but it's really 2.4% plus instant deposits. Are there any other additional bonuses?
Yeah, just in the last couple days, the team has really, I think, bent over backwards and gone above and beyond the call and dedicated 100% of the team allocation of the shield tokens from the contract to a rewards pool for the Citadel. So, and you can read about that in the docs. You can see it in the online education materials that I put out. But in effect, by staking in the Citadel now, not only are you earning LP rewards, you're also earning share token rewards on top of it.
So I've got your fantastic diagram, and I know this looks crazy at first, but if you've been following what we're saying, we've gone from here's that fortress where you stake your shield. All the minted stuff goes over here to do the treasury magic, and they call the treasury the DAO as well. And then over here, you get your CL token rewards directly into the Citadel, and that goes to if you compound it, you get that 20% compounding bonus here, and then that goes over here, and you also get that 6% instant rewards, and that's anytime anybody deposits in here. This is how it gets broken down, if I'm not mistaken. It goes 90% gets added to the pool balance, 6% goes to the instant rewards distributed to everybody's position in here, and then 4% goes to protocol-owned liquidity forever. Did I get that right?
Yep, that's correct.
And is this the team bonus of the team's basically the team's compensation, the shield token? They're giving it 100% back.
Yeah, that's right.
Here as rewards. Wow.
That's correct.
So that's awesome. You don't hear that often where the team wants their project to succeed so much they're willing to give all their team tokens back as additional rewards. So that's pretty cool. And so it's not really 2.4% as we see on the DApp. It's 2.4% plus the instant rewards plus the shield team bonus rewards they're giving up right now. And then if you compound, it's an extra 20% gets brought back into it.
Yeah, it just keeps adding up.
So right now, the you guys, by the way, how new is this protocol?
We just launched, our Genesis was 2 weeks ago today that we launched. So the Genesis was for 2 days. The depot, which we haven't really talked about yet, but you see on the screen up there, is our farms, in a typical other protocol we call them. Those launched 2 days after the Genesis, and then the Fortress opened the next day after that. So basically, the entire functioning of the protocol has been open about a week and a half.
Okay, so this is an extremely new seigniorage protocol.
Oh, yeah, hot off the press.
Nice. So I've been watching the TVL going up since this thing kicked off. So normally in the bear market, you see that by the time I hear about a Tomb Fork, it's 6 months in and their TVL is slowly dropping. But this one just started 2 weeks ago. The TVL's coming up. So yeah, pretty cool. I also heard whisperings that this is a temporary setup to deepen the protocol-owned liquidity during the first few weeks to be replaced by a different style of reward from the Fortress Boardroom. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the direction we're heading. If you look at Champion Finance, the rewards from our boardroom in Champion is an ETF reward pool, and the goal is to in a few weeks down the road provide the same type of reward pool out of the Fortress here in Defender.
Awesome. And that is very similar to how Dex Finance protects their PEG token as well. Their boardroom emits an ETF token where only a small little bit of it is the PEG token, but the rest of it's actually like blue chips and stable coins. So you end up getting like real value from that boardroom immediately, and it really protects the PEG. So
yeah,
you're going to have same thing here.
Yeah, that would be exactly the same type of thing.
Awesome. And for the first few weeks, they've hooked the boardroom directly to the Citadel, which is the EMP detonator style ROI contract, and which is well known for adding protocol owned liquidity. I mean, the EMP did a genius job with that concept, because it really it makes a fun gamified way for people to get consistent rewards out of this thing, but the entire time it is just deepening protocol owned liquidity, which just strengthens the entire project. And that's exactly what Citadel does too, right?
Yeah, and it's working very well, as a matter of fact, because right at this point, I think we have about 30% of the LP for the for a PEG token sword locked up in that liquidity pool. So
Wow,
that's a good amount.
Yeah, and if I remember, so you guys have like 30% locked LP in the Citadel, and I think it was over 10% of it was locked as protocol owned liquidity too, correct?
Yeah, I think that's right in the numbers we were looking at. Yeah, so 30% was locked in the Citadel itself, and the protocol owned another 10%. So in total, close to 40% of that is locked.
That's really actually quite amazing. And I'm not just saying that to be like, oh, that's amazing. Like, that actually is really cool. That seems to be I talk with a lot of Toonfork and Seigniorage Protocol project owners, and the name of the game the past couple months has been protocol owned liquidity. It's how you survive the bear market. It's how you become robust, and it's how you protect and stabilize your price. So, these guys, the Defender team, are going hard at this right out of the gate, getting as much protocol owned liquidity built, and the entire thing is basically focused around that, because right here, all of the sword minted goes to this treasury DAO protocol owned liquidity contract, which basically takes 10% of all of it to add. Is this correct? 10% gets added to protocol owned liquidity?
Let me look at that and make sure. Yeah, correct. 10%.
Wow. So every time this thing is in the expansion phase, when sword is above TWAP, which is above the price of Ethereum, essentially, then every epoch, all the sword minted in the fortress goes over to this contract. It does its magic, sells some of it to get some of the hard assets. By hard assets, I think you guys mean like Ethereum, Bitcoin, stable coins, and then it takes some of that and buys hard assets for protocol owned liquidity, correct?
Yeah, for that, and the major portion of the funds in the treasury in the form of hard assets will be used for creating the CL tokens, the rewards for the fortress. So the sword tokens that the treasury receives at each epoch, they would in effect, to simplify it, they would sell half of them for Ethereum and pair that Ethereum with the other half to create the rewards pool for the fortress.
Oh, okay. So that's how these CL tokens get made that go into the Citadel?
That's correct.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, when it's under peg, I believe it buys back sword at a discount and slowly brings sword back up to peg in a randomized fashion, so you can't front run it. And then it actually dumps that sword that it buys back into the Citadel as well. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. It's designed to keep TWAP, in the range that they design right now. That their goal range is the 1.03 to 1.05 range. But if it goes above that, obviously the Treasury could choose to sell some if they felt like it would be to their advantage to sell, and that's where they could where they would get some of the hard assets to pair back with the remaining amounts of the sword token would be by selling it on the open market. But if, like you were saying, if it does go below peg, then the Treasury could buy sword token back to raise the price back up.
Okay, and then if I remember correctly from the white paper, the way it stashes that sword that it buys, I believe is let me see here. It puts some of it in protocol own liquidity and some of it in the Citadel, I think. I'm not sure if I have that exactly right.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. Some of the deep details in the protocol, since I'm not part of the dev team, there's some of those fuzzy areas that I'm not totally familiar with either. So
Here it is.
Some of the specifics.
I think I found it. So that's right. When TWAP is below 1, buybacks will be initiated by the DAO, and these will be done at a time decided by the core team and not publicized until after the protocol is back in expansion to prevent front running. And the DAO fund will hold a range of assets at the discretion of the core team, and the DAO fund may or may not be invested in safe projects to earn yield and grow itself at the discretion of the team. So the treasury or DAO fund, it buys back sword below peg, and then the fund will hold those hard assets, or the blue chips, if you will, at the team's discretion, and then they'll invest some of those in safe projects, yield farming things, to also generate additional revenue for the protocol, right?
Yeah, correct. When funds got high enough in the treasury to allow them to do that, that's one thing they would look at doing. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's it's
yeah, that chart can get kind of busy.
Yeah, it gets busy, but it's very comprehensive, and I just want to point out, we didn't go over this too much, but the depot here, if you're familiar with Tomb Forks or Seigniorage protocols, that's the LP farm. You stake your LPs for sword, shield, or Cham token, and you get shield. And then you can take that shield and either sell it, or you can compound it back into the depot, or you can stake it in the fortress, which when it's above peg, prints you Citadel tokens into the ROI contract, which is like the EMP detonator contract. You could build your position there, or take your LP and sell it. Did I get that right?
You got it.
Awesome. So,
and just for the information of everybody that's watching too, each this chart is available in our on our Discord, and each of those separate areas, each of those separate colored areas on the chart have a more detailed individual, yeah, there's one of them, specific chart for that area that you can look at too. And not only are the charts there, but I created animated videos out of each of them too, that or maybe just another way of presenting it that some people might learn from a little bit better. But all of those videos and those graphics are available on the Discord.
Nice. And these were super helpful to me when studying for this AMA. So great job, David. I wish every protocol had this. I know it makes things seem more complicated, but most protocols are complicated, especially seigniorage ones. And if they all had something like this and you could sit down for 10 minutes and study them, things would make so much more sense. So go check these out.
Yeah, especially if you just take each individual area one at a time and go through and read all the details on it and watch the video. I don't think it really takes a whole lot. Even if you have to watch the video a couple times, it's not too hard to pick up each individual area, and then you can go back to the whole entire ecosystem and see how all those individual pieces fit together.
Yeah, and it's crazy because with these diagrams, we just explained basically the entire Defender farming and peg situation. We can go over some of the finer details, like the tokenomics and the selfie, very tiny selfie, I believe. We'll go over all that in a second. And before we do, I kind of want to just explain how this is connected to Champion Finance, as well as what the vaults are. Okay, now let's break down the vaults here. David, can you explain what the vaults are?
The vaults are an auto compounding feature using our liquidity pools to just provide the investor, with an increasing value in their LP. The LP pools are the same pools as we have in the depot, and they emit our shield token, but instead of just awarding that share token to the investor, the shield is sold and split and used to purchase more LP that's rewarded back to the investor.
So this is, kind of like a traditional auto compounder, similar to something from like Beefy Finance or Yield Wolf or any of those kind of things.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, it's our own internal version of Beefy. We call it the Champion Optimizer. It's from our sister protocol, Champion, and it's a product that another product that we hope to make available to other protocols down the road as a source of revenue as well. But we're using it specifically here for Defender to auto compound the pools in Defender.
Okay, and I see here the note that all fees collected from this service serve to benefit the future sustainability and success of both protocols. So is the Champion Optimizer, is that a revenue stream for Defender?
It's mainly a revenue stream for Champion, but in this case, Defender does get a kickback. There's a 1% of the fees that are charged in the optimizer, in managing those pools that is returned to Defender. So yes, it is a source of income for Defender.
And I'm looking here on, this is the optimizer. If you're watching my screen, it's called Champion Optimizer. Right now they have 3 vaults, and let's go check out the fees here. So if you come over here to where it says performance fee 4%, is that performance fee taken out of the daily percent, or is that already taken out?
That's already taken out. The percent that you see there is the actual rewarded percent after the performance fee has already been taken out.
Okay, so it says daily for the Cham ETH LP vault, 1.57% daily, and that's after this 4% performance fee is taken out. And if I hover over it, it says DF Treasury 1%, CO Treasury 1%, Cham Staker 1%, Vault Developer 0.5%, and Harvest Fee 0.5%. David, can you explain what these fees are?
I'm not sure if I know exactly what each of them are, but the DF Treasury, that's Defender Finance Treasury. So that's the 1% fee that we were talking about. That goes back as an income source to Defender. CO is Champion Optimizer. So 1% goes back to the optimizer for providing this service. Cham stakers will be, the intent is to expand this optimizer service to other protocols, and Cham from the Champion Finance, the share token there will be the governance token here, and stakers in Cham that stake in the optimizer will get a share of the rewards here too.
And you said Cham stakers. Is that going to be like a single stake? So single staking Cham?
Yes, single staking, yes.
So, okay, so 1% of all the trading fees, or basically 25% of the fees taken from the performance fees, go to buying back Cham and awarding them to Cham single stakers.
That's correct.
And then 25% of all the fees goes to Defender Finance Treasury. 25% of all the fees goes to the Champion Optimizer Treasury. And now we've got the other fees here: Vault Developer and Harvest Fee. Are you familiar with what those are?
I am not.
So I
Off the top of my head, I don't know for sure.
I looked this up, and I think Vault Developer in the Champion Optimizer documents is the Vault Strategist, they call it. And I think that's whoever designs the specific vault. So whoever came up with the idea for this Cham ETH LP vault, I think they get that credit. So that way it encourages other protocols to come in here and be like, hey,
that
I
makes
have
sense.
a new vault that I want to develop, and they'll get 0.5% of the performance fees there, which can get significant if they've got a large amount locked up in there doing work. And then I think the 0.5% harvest fee goes to whoever harvests if you harvest or withdraw. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. Oh, here it is. 0.5% is awarded to the one calling the harvest function. So I'm guessing that is okay, I think I get it. So the harvest function, I'm guessing, is an automated contract, probably like a service like Gelato, which is like used to do scheduled tasks on the blockchain, because you can't program scheduled tasks into smart contracts. You have to call them all externally, and normally that costs money. So if you're using Chainlink to do it, if you're using Gelato, if you have your own server, and you have to pay the hosting fees to make those API calls out, then that's going to cost money. So I'm guessing that's where that 0.5% harvest goes to. That's my guess.
Makes sense. And like I said, they sneak so much of this stuff in on me. I can't, some of the specific, minutiae and the details, I don't know all of it.
Yeah, that's they've got so much going on. It's been a real adventure going down this rabbit hole. So that's actually really cool that they have the Champion Optimizer on Binance Smart Chain, which will be a revenue source for Defender, as well as a revenue source for Champion and Cham stakers. Now, we went through this earlier and we broke it all down. The XCHAM buyback pool, they call it, is where you can stake your Cham and receive XCHAM tokens. And that 1% that buys back Cham goes to this XCHAM single staking pool, which we figured out is like on Spooky.fi, Spooky Swap over on Phantom, where they stake Boo here and they get X Boo, and then they can stake X Boo to earn partner tokens. So, and that original Boo they staked is getting all of those trading fees here, which they do 15% of all trading fees to buy back Boo and add to your position. Meanwhile, Champion Optimizer is even more, aggressive, where they're doing 25% of all of the fees going back to buying Champion for the XCHAM single staking pool. So they're doing 15% of all trade fees. You guys are doing 25% of all trade fees to buy Champion for the single staking pool, right?
That's right.
And then the XCHAM, in this case, would go towards getting you, if you stake XCHAM in one of the partner pools, you would get that partner's tokens, correct?
Yes, that's the way I understand it. The protocol would provide a number of their tokens upfront as rewards for the opportunity to use the optimizer, and then those tokens would be awarded to stakers for XCHAM.
Okay, so if any projects are listening and you want to get on the Champion optimizer, you can, I think, go in the Discord server and ask them, basically tell them you've got a strategy and you want to get onto the Champion optimizer. They have instructions on here, and basically just go on the Discord and say, hey, I want to get on the Champion optimizer, I've got an idea, and then they'll get you a vault here, and I think you can then provide some of your native tokens, which can then be used as rewards here in the XCHAM single staking pool. If I'm understanding that correctly, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And remember too that this is the optimizer is cross chain. It's not just limited to the Binance Smart Chain. And obviously all the pools that are listed there, the only pools we currently have in optimizer are for Defender, because it's a brand new product that's just been launched. But the goal is obviously to have that available to anyone that's interested in using it.
Okay, great. So that's huge. If you guys get a bunch of partners on here, then especially across all the chains, and this is kicking back, a quarter of all the fees to the Defender treasury, that's an ongoing external revenue source for Defender itself.
Yes, for both Defender and Champion.
Right, for Defender and Champion. Very cool. So I like to hear that. A lot of times what you hear with seigniorage protocols or tomb forks is that there's no revenue sources. So right out of the gate, you guys already have a revenue source. Do you have any other revenue sources?
A new Dex just launched this week, and we're able to get in on their initial launch and have some pools available on there where stakers can earn rewards for Cham staking there. And this is on Binance Smart Chain, so it's Cham. And we didn't really talk about this too. Champion Finance was launched on the Avalanche network. And obviously we're talking about Defender is on the Binance Smart Chain, but as being sister protocols, the share token from Champion, which is Cham, we bridged across to Binance Smart Chain to provide some use cases for Cham in the Defender ecosystem. So anyways, that was kind of a roundabout way of saying we just launched some pools this week on Thena that provide some staking opportunities for Cham holders. And this week, I think another DEX, Vertek, will be launching, and we will be providing the same type of staking opportunities for tokens in the Defender ecosystem. Both the Sword token and the Shield token will have staking pools available there to do this same type of thing for the Defender ecosystem.
Okay, so.
And you can see from what you have, what you have up there shows some nice APRs for people that are staking BNB Cham right at this time.
Yeah, so this is very new. And let me pull that back up. So on Thena.fi, which is a new DEX on BNB, I believe. And it looks like it's a balancer style DEX or like curve, where you've got gauges and voting and V tokens you can lock to get to vote for higher emissions on certain pools that you like. And that's how this thing is generating revenue, because you get bribes and all this. If you don't know how a curve or balancer style DEX works, look into it. It's super confusing, but really cool. So yeah, the APRs are crazy in here. What is that per day? 454.
I should mention in here too, Alex, that there is direct revenue for Defender from that BNB Cham pool, because the team in effect borrowed 1,000 Cham from Champion. It's the same team, so they can share a little bit of resources. They borrowed Cham to 1,000 Cham to stake in that pool, and the rewards for that pool are being returned back to the Defender ecosystem. So again, like you were talking about, this DEX Thena is a vote escrowed DEX. So, and their rewards are on a weekly basis. So the team has dedicated a certain percentage of their weekly rewards out of that stake that they have in that pool that they'll use each week to upvote for the next week. And then the balance of the remaining rewards would go, back into the Defender ecosystem, either into, possibly rewards or protocol owned liquidity, or some way would be of value to Defender. So we're asking, like I myself have some stake in that pool, and any of the other investors that are getting into there, to maintain those rewards on a long-term basis. It's good to work together and keep the votes up each week. So we're trying to get a coordinated effort between everybody involved to do that on a regular basis. And if we do that, then that can be a long-term source of additional revenue coming in.
Yeah, and these APRs are crazy. This is wild. So this is the kind of stuff you can see when new protocols launch, new liquidity pools launch. Crazy APRs. I mean, Degen stuff. That's what Tomb Forks are all about. And then ideally, they have revenue sources to back them up long term. So when they run out of their runway, they get picked up and supported by the revenue streams to carry them on as, a revenue sharing ecosystem, essentially. So yeah, this is very cool. Glad you have another revenue stream here. Yeah, if I heard you right, the team borrowed a 1,000 Cham from Champion Finance on Avalanche and staked it here in Thena, and all the rewards
Correct.
from that are going back to uh are going back to Defender Finance as a revenue stream.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, cool. Now, these are all Cham tokens, by the way. Do you guys plan on putting sword or shield tokens on Thena as well?
I'm not sure if there's specific plans on that. I think there is, in addition to what I mentioned before, is providing some pools on Vertek, which is getting ready to launch this week. I think we're going to put an additional pool or two on Thena for Defender tokens as well.
Yeah, and if I remember, if I saw it correctly in the Discord server, there are plans for shield tokens coming to the Thena Dex. So yeah, if
see, you're privy to some information that I'm not aware of.
I was digging around, you know
you
how
saw something that I didn't see somewhere.
Yeah, here we go. All right, I did find it. I knew it. So your project's advisor, Kanakizu, said on January 17th, also, we are waiting for Thena to whitelist Shield so that we can add another farm for Shield that doesn't cost us our own token and gives us outside revenue.
Yeah, see, I gotta have a talk with these dev guys. They're having these behind doors discussions and not letting me in on some of the good information. So yeah, that'll be great if we can get some Defender vaults open up on here too, as well as Vertek when it opens. You know, that'll be super.
And I'm a Discord super sleuth, by the way. I research this stuff like there's no tomorrow. So I went through and I read so many of your Discord messages back like weeks, and most people don't do that even when they're on the team or in the protocol. But I noticed that one. I'm like, okay, you guys launched the Cham stuff on Thena, and the reason I was so excited about finding that Shield is coming to Thena is because when you guys announced and unrolled the Cham pools on Thena, Cham price pumped 50% that same day, and I think it's still up over 40% since then.
Yeah, it was a huge boost. Yeah, I think it might even be up more than that. I think at one point I was looking at it was up 60 or 70%. So yeah, and that's just in 2 days since that launched.
Yeah, so this is huge for basically bringing up token price, adding the liquidity, and so when Shield gets added here, hopefully, that could bring Shield's price up. No guarantees, obviously, but that could bring up Shield's price, which in turn, since Shield is the reward token, that would increase all of the APRs in the depot in your farms.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's super cool. And I'm guessing you probably saw Cham's APRs go through the roof from this.
Yeah, they were high until everybody started seeing the higher APRs. They've come down a little bit, over the past 2 days, but they're still good. But it was real high to start out in that pool.
Awesome.
But that's why we need to make a coordinated effort as a team, as a whole community to keep up the voting for that. And, it's just kind of a cycle that feeds itself. Then you keep earning the rewards, you keep voting for the next week, and you can earn more rewards the next week. So
this BNB/Cham pool has protocol Cham tokens put into it, and you're saying you want the entire community to cast their votes on Thena for this pool because it'll just increase the amount of rewards that get sent back to Defender as external revenue.
Not only will they themselves earn higher rewards, higher APR, but when that APR is higher, then obviously there's higher rewards for the amount that the team has staked in there as well. So that's a bigger amount that gets passed back to Defender.
Awesome. And if you look over here in the liquidity tab, the APRs are crazy right now. So the BNB Cham pool is 473% APR, which, you know, this is DeFi, so we talk in days. That's 1.295%. Well, so like 1.3%. Now, obviously, it's a tomb fork type stuff. The TVLs affect the APRs, and there are a lot of other factors. So this APR will change over time. This is not guaranteed or anything like that. So everybody be aware that usually APRs are sky high in the beginning of tomb forks or seigniorage protocols, no matter where the liquidity farming is going on. So, you know, that's the first movers usually get the big APRs on these kind of things. And like I said, this is only 2 weeks old, so it's pretty early as far as the seigniorage protocol. Now, with that all being said, you mentioned Vertek, and many people might not know what Vertek is. I'm sure a lot of you do in my community. Vertek is a balancer style DEX coming to Binance Smart Chain. It was Equinox DEX, and obviously Equinox had some issues. They have a recovery plan for the 2 or 3 pools that had some issues, and they're rebranding and relaunching as Vertek. And Vertek is going to have some pools for Defender, you said. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
All right, so Vertek will be similar to what you see here with Thena, where they're going to have voting, they're going to have V tokens, they're going to have gauges, they're going to have liquidity, and it's going to be a swap. And I'm in the loop with the Vertek team, and a little birdie may have told me that Defender might be getting one of the core pools on Vertek. So if that's the case, that would be significant fees that would come back to Defender as revenue. I'm not saying anything is set in stone yet, but I've got it on decent faith from somebody high up.
YaBonks spilling the alpha, huh?
Hey, I'm only saying this because I searched your Discord and your team was talking about it, so it's fair game at this point.
Yeah, I think I've learned from my conversation with you today that I need to be careful what I say in Discord, because YaBonks might find it and hold me to it somewhere along the way.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're on the team and you say something, it is gospel. So, yeah, that's Vertek. I saw you guys talking about it. My peeps at Vertek said things to me, and so check out Vertek. It's coming. It's launching, I think, in 2 days, and I'm pretty sure you guys might be on there as one of the core partner pools, which means Defender here would be getting another significant source of external revenue. So you'd have revenue coming from Vertek, you'd have revenue coming from Thena, you have revenue coming from Champion Optimizer, you have revenue coming from Thena in multiple ways, actually, because you're going to have Shield going there soon. You're going to have the Cham BNB pool coming back from Thena. You're going to have well, you didn't mention this yet, but, well, actually you did. So I mentioned if you and EMP might be working together for the Detonator as a Service collaboration. And if that happens, that's also another revenue source for Defender, as well as deepening protocol on liquidity, right?
Right. Sure.
Okay. And then one other thing.
The team's working hard.
They're nonstop. It's absurd. They're making my job super hard. Like, I've got papers just spread out, notes everywhere. I've got 100 tabs open. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, Wait 2 weeks and we'll probably have to do this all over again because I'll add a couple more things.
I know it. It same thing happened when I did the champion AMA with Aaron. We did that, and like 2 weeks later, they had so much new stuff built. I'm just like, what is going on? But that's good. There, a lot of teams have the opposite problem where they don't build,
Yeah.
or they hire somebody who builds it for them, and then that's all you get. Because then they got no one who could build on the team. But this team seems to be very hardcore developers, and I think that's why they brought you on, because they needed a talker.
Yeah, I guess they didn't want to waste their time talking. They got better things to do. So
Nothing
They-
wrong
they
with
def-
talking.
yeah, they definitely stay ahead of the curve. They're good. They're really good.
Yeah, and I had to comb the Discord chat to find out the latest stuff coming down the pike, because they talk about it there before you see it in the docs. Now, do you guys have another do you guys have your own decks coming? I've heard when I did the Champion Finance AMA, I heard talk that a balancer style Dex was in development from this team. Do you know if that's still going on?
That's still in the plans. It's gotten pushed back a little bit, so I'm not sure. With the launch of Defender, it got pushed back, and and we launched Defender on Binance, and shortly in about a month, we plan on launching on Polygon and then Optimizer as well. So I'm not sure exactly what the time frame is for releasing the decks, but that still is in the works too.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I see it. You guys are going to be launching on Polygon chain next and bringing on auto compound partners, it sounds like. So that'll be cool. If you get more people on board with the Champion Optimizer vaults, then that's just more revenue coming in to support Shield and Sword. And I also saw something about the Dex and leveraged trading to buy back and burn Shield. And that was somewhere in the documents. So I'm not sure, but right here, Dex and Yield Optimizer protocol with Sword, buyback and burn mechanic, and then somewhere else I also saw leveraged trading potentially. So, or that's hold on, let me go to Shield. That was Sword right here. So Shield will have Dex and leveraged trading protocol with Shield, buyback and burn mechanic. Do you know anything about that yet?
No, I don't. Sometimes I don't hear about some of these features until they're hot off the press, but I'm not sure exactly the details on that. So
Okay, no worries there. Yeah, they do seem to like to keep this stuff close to the chest until they just roll it out and surprise us. So I also want to point out, while I'm on this page, the Shield token, does this have a buy or sell tax?
well, just a burn tax on every sell. There's no buy tax on either of our tokens. There's like you see there's a 0.1% burn tax on Shield, and there's a 0.5% burn tax on Sword.
Okay. All right. So, very small sell tax that is just for burning. So 0.1% sell tax on Shield, the share token, and that's 0.1% and it's burnt. And then on Sword, the sell tax is 0.5%, which also just gets burnt, and there's no buy taxes, correct?
That's correct.
Now, I see here it says using the add and remove LP feature on the Defender website homepage to avoid the fee. What?
Yeah,
What can you
that's
tell me about
important.
that?
the LP for Sword and Shield is on PancakeSwap. So obviously you can go to PancakeSwap and form that LP directly. If you do that, you will incur the the sell tax or whatever for forming that LP that might be involved in that. But if you buy the LP from where you're looking right there on the home page or on the D app on the depot page, that fee is not included if you do the transaction from there.
Okay, so good to know. If you guys are looking to add or remove liquidity, do it from the website itself, not directly
exactly.
from PancakeSwap. Oh, here we go. The add LP. I think this is what I meant to click earlier. So if I click add LP here, yeah. Don't do it the other way, you guys. The other way I just showed you takes you to PancakeSwap, and like David just said, don't do it on PancakeSwap. Do it on the home page. Okay, so I'm on the home page for Defender Finance. Scroll down and sword/ETH LP. Click add LP, and it brings it up through the DApp, no fee. So,
right.
I think we got it. All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I might need to cut that part out earlier. But yeah, add LP from the home page, and same with removing the LP, I believe. And you won't get any kind of fees that you weren't aware of. So, good to know. Everybody, add and remove LP from the homepage. Also, you can see here, this did just launch. We've got a TVL of only 35,000 and rising. And then we've got all the protocol liquidity has grown to $2,500. The overall liquidity for Sword and ETH is $23,500. So like we said earlier, like 10% of the liquidity is protocol owned liquidity locked up for good in the protocol. And then over about $10,500 is locked in the Citadel, and combined those are like $13,000 liquidity locked, which is like over 30%, like you were saying. Now, as this thing scales, if it keeps that ratio or grows that ratio with volume churn, this is quite defensive, if you ask me, for a seigniorage protocol.
To use a little play on terms there, huh?
Yeah. Now, did you come up with the terminology, the naming of this stuff?
Yeah, I think when we first started discussing amongst ourselves launching what's now Defender, we were just throwing some names out there, and Defender kind of stuck. So using Defender, then we tried to come up with some other suitable words related to that or terms related to that kind of went along with it. And I'm really happy with how it turned out, using Shield for our share token and Sword for the peg token. And then we call our boardroom the fortress, and our farms the depot, and we have the Citadel. So it all kind of plays around that same theme, that Defender theme of providing protection for the protocol overall. So yeah, I like that.
I like that analogy too. It fits surprisingly well for the main aspects of the seigniorage protocol, which is defending the peg and deepening protocol owned liquidity to add defense, essentially. So what we got, the sword. I like to think of the sword as the offensive weapon, which is paired to ETH. So when the bull market comes back, that sword will offensively rise up in value. And then the shield token, which you stake in the fortress. So you bring your shield to the fortress to defend, and it basically shuffles you into the Citadel, which is like an improved fortress. And when you're in there, it's generating swords that you can either go out and fight with or sell as mercenaries, or you can keep compounding it to get more and more shields to defend the Citadel with. And then also the depot, which I like to think of as the weapons depot, which is, you stake swords and shields or champions, I guess, and you get more shields, which you can then put in the fortress. Anyway, you got the name down on this. Well done.
Well, you painted a good word picture there.
I hope so. I think this is a cool idea, and once the fortress turns in, starts emitting the ETF token, it might be a little harder to get that analogy as smoothly, but the principles are still the same.
Yeah.
Now, hey, what's this, by
Exactly.
the way? This P2P rebates down here.
That will be a feature to be added. That's kind of new in any of this type of environment, where the CL token, the Citadel token, which normally would be in essence permanently staked in the Citadel, in an emergency case, if an investor did need to take that out and couldn't wait, for the balance of their 355% return, they wanted to get out now, they would have the opportunity to use that peer-to-peer rebates and sell the remaining value of their CL token to another investor that was interested in taking over their position in the protocol. So the person that's coming in would buy, obviously, that Citadel token would have already earned some of the rewards that were allocated for it, some of that up to 365%. So that Citadel token isn't going to be worth the, what it was initially. So they'd have to sell it at a discount. And whoever was coming in would, they would negotiate probably like if you want to envision it, it would be like a typical DEX where, people have an offer price that they're selling something for, and somebody has a buy price that he's willing to pay for it. So they come to some type of negotiation and agree upon a price to sell that for. But it's just a way of us allowing people to get out in an emergency situation if they needed to take those funds out.
Okay, and that's very different than the EMP detonator or reactor contracts. I don't believe there's any kind of emergency unstake feature, but with the Citadel, you're saying they can take their CL tokens, which is their stake represented in the Citadel, they can put it on the P2P rebates platform here, essentially selling their position in the Citadel to somebody else at a discount. Then somebody who wants to get a position in the Citadel can get in cheaper than usual by buying it off the P2P rebates to get the position cheaper. And then, so that's kind of cool that you've got an option to bail if you needed to.
It's providing a service to that person in case that situation does come up, but it doesn't hurt the protocol in any way, because who's ever coming in and buying their position is just replacing it with the LP, the sword ETH LP that's represented by that Citadel. They're just replacing that position in the pool. So for Defender, it's just an even swap. It's just an avenue for the investor to get out.
Yeah, that's very creative. So it's not like an emergency unstake and then they sell. It's like, hey, I've got this position in the Citadel. I need, maybe their car broke down and they need to repair it, and they can't wait to get the full 365% or do a compounding strategy. They're just like, hey, I need my liquidity back to go fix my car. I need it all right now. I'm willing to sell it to my position in the Citadel to you for 80% of what it's worth. So that way I can, I take a little shave, but I get out at the moment I want out. Somebody can get in then at like a 20% discount. And
Right.
As far as Defender finance is concerned, nothing was added or removed from the Citadel. It was just basically swapping the wallet addresses on that have those CL tokens, or sending those CL tokens to a different wallet.
Exactly. And just to be clear, that functionality isn't available in the DApp yet. We have that ready to go, but in the initial launch, just to build a solid base of liquidity in the protocol, we haven't made that available yet.
Okay. So the P2P rebates at the time of this recording, not ready yet. Well, not rolled out yet. It's built, but it's not rolled out. And let's see. Yeah, interesting. So that's cool. Can you transfer your own position? Say I switched wallets. Can I send my Citadel position to my other wallet?
I don't know. That's an interesting thing I hadn't thought about. That's something I would have to ask the dev team. I know the CL tokens do show in my wallet because they're just a receipt token. So I'm not sure how that works behind the scenes, if that's something that could be done or not.
So I found here at like a little footnote at the end of the document for Citadel, it says CL tokens can be transferred when transferring. The unclaimed rewards of the senders will be rolled over back to the pool. And the unclaimed rewards of the receivers will be auto compounded.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, see, I learned something new today.
Now, speaking of how this kind of works, can you explain to me how like the Citadel functions in terms of like the timing of things? Because I know there's like a 24-hour clock on this to claim, and if you don't claim in that 24 hours, it rolls your rewards for that period back into the pool. Is that right?
Right. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and that really
you don't
things.
Right. And just so people understand, you don't lose those rewards as part of that, 365% that you could earn. You just don't get them that day. You're just in effect basically lowering your APR. It's just taking you longer to ROI.
Mm-hmm. And that's basically how the detonator contract works as well from EMP. If you don't get your rewards claimed or compounded in the 24-hour period, it just resets, and you wait for your rewards to accumulate again. And it's an interesting mechanism because it rewards the people who are diligent. So the people who can like set an alarm or something and come back to it every day to do their action is going to perform better than the person like me who forgets and doesn't check it for 4 or 5 days at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does this
teaches you to be an active investor, huh?
Yeah, it does, and also teaches me exactly. It teaches me to keep up to speed with all the stuff I stick funds in. So what does this pay out in?
It pays out in Sword ETH LP. So as like the diagram shows, then you can, if you wanted to claim, you forego the 20% bonus that you could have gotten by compounding, but you can claim the LP, and then you could split the LP, and sell those assets to take profits or whatever you wanted to do. But yeah, it's just that's the standard sword. ETH LP is the reward in Citadel.
Okay, good to know. So you get sword/ETH. So if I'm doing this, I'm taking this out and I'm either putting it into the depot or I'm splitting it and pocketing the ETH essentially, and then either taking that sword and selling it or doing whatever else you can do with the sword. Let me go back to your big old picture here. So, yeah, basically, you take that, you split the LP, and you sell it. So you sell the sword, you pocket the ETH, you sell the sword for more ETH.
Yeah, unless you wanted to go, like you were saying, go full cycle. You know, if you want to go through the whole Defender ecosystem again, you could take your LP out there and put it back into the depot and earn more share token. You know, earn more shield if you decided you're more interested at that point in getting shield tokens, then you can reinvest it there. But
or you could take it and put it in the sword LP in the champion optimizer vault to auto compound, which
yeah,
might, you know, in certain circumstances might be a better strategy than the depot. Again, you guys will have to judge this stuff for yourself and it will be circumstantial, but let's see what the daily percent is right now. So almost 1% daily on sword ETH LP in the optimizer, and then that also kicks back the fees to the protocol itself. So that's an option as well. Okay, let's see. What else, David? What do we got?
I think we pretty well covered everything.
One thing I do want to cover is Cham LP here in the depot and the vaults. So if you're coming from Defender only, don't know what champion finance is, it's probably super confusing. But they bridged over champion. There's now champion liquidity on that Thena swap that we were showing you earlier, and you can farm Cham ETH LP in the depot, and this gets you 10% of the shield tokens emitted every epoch, and that is the share token. Shield is a share token, and the rest of the rewards, 50% goes to shield BNB, and then the last 40% goes to sword/ETH LP in the depot in the farms. So that's how you get shield. You stake these LPs here, and then you take the shield, and when it's above peg or not, you stick it in the fortress, and then when it is above peg, it kicks on. Are there any waiting periods on the boardroom, the fortress?
There's waiting rooms. Waiting rooms. There's waiting. There's waiting periods for both withdrawals and I'm forgetting what they are. I think it's claims are 3 epochs and withdrawals are 6. I mean, yeah, withdrawals are 6 epochs and claims are 3 epochs.
Okay. And how long is an epoch in Defender Finance?
Epoch is 6 hours, so there's 4 in a day. So it's basically a day and a half. You know, if you stake in the fortress, you're staked in there a minimum of a day and a half, and there, you know, every 18 hours, then you could withdraw if you wanted to. But
okay.
Remember, either one of those actions will reset the timer for both of them. So, you know, if you want to withdraw, make sure you don't claim before that. because you'll reset your time, the lock timer for the stake, and you'll be locked in there for another 18 hours. But
I have made that mistake more times
yeah,
than I would like to admit.
yeah, we probably all have.
Yeah. So many times I claim all excitedly, and then I'm like, oh wait, I wanted to withdraw
Yeah,
too.
now I need to go take. Oh shoot! Oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, so absolutely. If you are trying to get out of the boardroom, if you're trying to withdraw, don't claim first. Just withdraw, and it will
Yeah,
claim automatically for you.
I think the button. Let me go look at it real quick. I was gonna say I think the button might on RD might even say claim and withdraw.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Right there, claim and withdraw.
Yeah. Makes it a little bit clearer, but it's still easy just to click that claim button and then go oops.
Now, if you guys like those diagrams that David made, it's under the strategy tab of the DApp. So if you go to strategy, they're all laid out nice and clean right here. Shows you how everything works. One thing I do want to touch on, the fortress that we were talking about, this part right here, the CL token rewards, can you explain one more time how these numbers come about and what do they mean?
Yeah, sure. It probably should be split up, maybe to make it a little clearer. But like we mentioned, the rewards that come out of the fortress are the CL token. Out of all those rewards that are produced each epoch that the fortress is above TWEL, 10% of that CL, that total amount of CL, will go to POL. 10% will go to the DAO. That 10% is used for the DAO as a kind of a savings account for the buyback of the sword tokens when and if it should fall below peg. So that's just a safety measure there. The 80% that's listed above that goes to the stakers and the dev fund. 10% of that is the dev fund. So the balance of that goes to the stakers. So that 10% dev fund, that's the payment that the team gets for their efforts in the protocol. The team was originally had two parts of that. The 10% of the CL tokens here, and then the 10% of the shield tokens that are emitted in the depot on the farms. But as we talked about earlier in the Citadel, the team gave away their 100% of those shield rewards to provide as an additional bonus pool in the Citadel. So the only income that the team is getting at this point is the 10% of the CL token from the fortress.
Okay, so just to see if I understand this correctly, the rewards, when this is all above peg, and the fortress, the boardroom is printing, the peg token sword goes to the DAO or treasury, and 10% of it is stored as protocol-owned liquidity in the LP token, so hard asset LP pair, like I'm guessing sword and Ethereum. And then the DAO, 10% is also stored as LP tokens for a rainy day fund to buy back sword when it's under peg. So 10% saved for the rainy day, 10% stores protocol and liquidity, and then 80% gets turned into Citadel tokens, which get put in the Citadel. And of that 80%, 10% is for the dev fund, and 70% is for all of the Citadel stakers. So that 10% of the dev fund is how the developers are compensated from the protocol, and the other way the developers are compensated from the protocol are 10% of all shield emissions were going to the devs. However, they are redirecting them to additional bonus rewards in the Citadel currently to boost everybody's rewards. Also, just I noticed 10% of the Citadel tokens that go for the dev fund, they have the developers have a position in the Citadel, so they're probably receiving some of those shield bonus rewards, which makes sense. And then they can also claim or compound and play the Citadel just like everybody else, and they would be rewarded then in sword/ETH LP that they would claim just like everybody else from the Citadel. Then they could sell that to take profit. Did I get all that right?
Yeah, it's a long roundabout discussion, but yes, I think you got all of that exactly right.
Yes, awesome. Woo! What a doozy. This has been quite the day. I have put on my learning cap, and I have just, I mean, I was talking to you for 6, 7, 8 hours before we even started recording. And before that, I was studying this for 8 to 10 hours. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and I don't want that, the fact that you say that to dissuade anyone, because I think, there is a lot to the protocol, but like I mentioned before, it can be easily broken down into the individual areas, and those areas learned fairly easily by themselves. And you don't have to learn the whole system all at one time in order to understand it. And you can actually, you can pick and choose, just like a typical tomb fork. You might only want to be invested in the Citadel, or you might only want to be invested in the Fortress, or you might only want to be invested in the Depot. It's not like you got to have funds in all of it all at one time and understand how they all interwork together.
Yeah.
So.
And like normally when I play tomb forks or seniors protocols, I normally only do the farms, which in your case is the depot, or the auto compounders, which are the vaults.
Yeah.
Because personally for me, I don't like locking stuff up as much, and I like to be able to grab my liquidity and go if I need to. I run a tight budget at home, so like I have had my $2,000 vet bill pop up, and I'm like, oh no, I have to liquidate something. So for me personally, it makes sense to do this when I know somebody who in my community was in EMP's detonator contract, and they made like 40 or 50 grand doing it, just like the whatever percent per day, and it blew my mind. And I know quite a few people in my community that made tens of thousands, and all they did was once a day they'd go there and click a button, like that was it. So yeah, but this is I usually do these two just because I like to stay
those are the easiest to understand, the simplest ways to get in, and and that's a good starting point for a lot of people. Get started and learn more, and then maybe you want to progress. But
yeah, and like this one, I think if you're a active person, and if you're diligent and you're good at games, or like coming and doing this like a browser based task once a day or something, this would probably be potentially the way to maximize your returns if you are trying to 365% return. You just have to be patient and try to get in early. In my opinion, that's how these things go sometimes. But look at EMP's detonator and reactor contracts. They're chugging along strong after like almost a year. But if you're lazy like me, and I'm actually not lazy, but I just don't check my stuff very often. So I fall behind and stuff like this, whereas an auto compounder where I can set it and forget it, and I'm still
Yep.
getting gains, that's ideal for me. You know, so it all depends
Yeah.
on your strategy as a participant. Oh, but real quick, David, I want to simplify this. I know you were saying, I know it can be daunting, but it really breaks down to a few simple parts. And I know a lot of you are familiar with EMP, and I know a lot of you are familiar with Dex Finance, especially if you've been watching my videos. So to simplify this whole thing, the Fortress, Dex Finance, okay? This Fortress and this DAO slash POL, this whole thing, Dex Finance. Just think of it that way. All right, and Citadel, EMP reactor or EMP detonator contract. Now they're different slightly, right? They've got their differences, but if you want to simplify this in a way that might make it easier to relate it to things you might already be familiar with, imagine the Boardroom, which is the Fortress, and the Treasury management contracts that go into managing the PEG token stuff. That was like Dex Finance's big claim to fame and what's kept them going strong for like a year. So boom, they took the best part of Dex Finance, incorporated it, made it their own. Boom, the Citadel, just like the reactor contract from EMP Money. Boom, they made this thing inspired by that, made it their own, made it work for it. So this whole thing is like they just took Dex and EMP and made it this like really unique thing right here. And then this is what you already know: auto compounders and LP farms. So, and then they're gonna release this like OTC peer-to-peer, basically Citadel position swapper. At some point, you're gonna see this come out. And that's Defender Finance, and then they've got revenue streams coming at it. Like, what do we like? You had 5 or 6 revenue streams coming in. So, did I lay that out in a way that was understandable?
You did for me.
Yeah, all right. Defender Finance. It defends the PEG with the Boardroom, the Dex Finance inspired Boardroom and Treasury manager contract, and it deepens protocol owned liquidity through not only that, but the EMP detonator contract inspired Citadel contract, which deepens protocol owned liquidity and gamifies a lot of this. So, yeah, those two things takes the PEG management away from the people and automates it in a better system, and then it deepens protocol on liquidity, defending the PEG, defending the prices of the protocol.
You summed it all up perfectly.
Yes, this was dude, this was a hard one, man. I'm telling you, I've had some tricky protocols to try to explain, but this one almost took the cake until I spent enough time talking with you to be able to put it in terms I understand. So, and thank you for giving it these names. That was really, really clever.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll stick with people, but yeah, I like them too. Well, I appreciate the effort you put into all of this, Alex. I know you spent a whole day, for that matter, working on all this, and I know I wanted to let you know I appreciate it. I know the team appreciates it too. So,
my pleasure. I love DeFi. This is my passion and my hobby. So I love learning about this stuff and breaking it down. And you know, I like you, David. I like Aaron too. So you guys are really cool. And for anybody watching, I have a personal bias where I like them as people. They're very nice to me, and I've had pleasant conversations with both of them for many hours. So take that with a grain of salt. Remove that from any influence you may have gotten from me as you're making your decision if you want to participate in this seigniorage protocol. Hey, David, I have a couple more due diligence questions because that's what I'm known for. I want to make sure I hammer those out so everybody knows the risks involved as well as the whole value proposition that we just laid out.
all right.
So, have you ever worked on any other projects before, or do you know if any of the core team members worked on any other projects before this?
I know that I have not worked on. Let me answer that side of it. I have not worked on any projects before this. The team, the core team, the 3 that we mentioned, Aaron, Arita, and Peter, have a long history together. They've been working together for several years. And like we've talked about during this whole video, specifically, they worked on Champion Finance before launching Defender Finance right now. But even before that, they have worked together on other projects as well.
Okay. So who else is on the core team, and do you know what countries everybody is from?
Those three that I just mentioned are the core team. Aaron is from Vietnam, Peter's in Singapore, and Arita is in Japan. And for those that are interested, I'm in the United States.
Very cool. Me too, man. Me too. Hey. So are any of the team members KYC'd, and by whom?
Yeah, Aaron and Arita are KYC by Interfi.
Okay. So Aaron and Arita, and are they on the multi-sigs? Do you know?
Yeah, all three of the core team are on the contracts. Multi-sig, 2 out of the 3 have to sign.
Okay. So 2 out of the 3 that are on the multi-sig are KYC'd. If there are any shenanigans, they would be accountable. And I know Japan and Singapore especially are, I think, considered possibly tier 1 level KYC countries, where if anything went down, like, there's the highest level of accountability. I could be wrong. Look into this, you guys. Don't take my word for it. Do your own due diligence. And I have met Aaron. He's fully doxxed as well. He's on my video before, and he's from Vietnam. So this is a decent KYC and accountability setup, if you ask me. Now, you said 2 out of the 3 are KYC'd that are on the multi-sig. Now, is that multi-sig just for the treasury and like project wallets, or does that also include ownership of the smart contracts?
I'm not sure about that. I'd have to check on that.
Okay. And yeah, they've got, bunch of pool contracts. I do know they always talk about I thought they had renounced some contracts. I might be thinking of Champion, but they probably haven't renounced anything here yet.
No, yeah.
All the pool contracts are listed here, though. And it says which ones are on multi-sig for the wallets. So the revenue stream wallet, the protocol owned liquidity wallet, and then the DAO wallet and dev wallet. Do you know if these 2 are on multi-sigs too?
I do not happen to know about those.
I can check. It doesn't seem like they are. So that might be something to look into with the team, see if you can get these 2 on. But this essentially prevents people from yanking the liquidity, and this prevents people from yanking the revenue streams. And then the dev wallet, like, that's their profit wallet, so I wouldn't expect that. They do whatever they want with that, essentially, in my opinion. And the DAO wallet, that one, I'm not sure. I think that's used probably for marketing and development stuff, and also buying back the sword token under peg. So I would probably ask them if about this, if they could get this on the same multi-sig as well. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
The thing is, I bet you they're gonna come back and say, because of this here, that this has some automated interaction with smart contracts that utilize that DAO wallet to buy back sword when below peg. So the multi-sig might interfere with that stuff.
Yeah.
Would be good to know how that's all set up. So yeah. And actually, I could probably see who No, I don't know who owns this wallet. Anyway, okay, so that would be good. Follow up with me on that if you can. Maybe I'll post a comment or an update. And let's see. So we talked about how the team is compensated by the protocol. 10% of the shield emissions, which they're currently redirecting to the Citadel stakers as a bonus. And then they get 10% of the Boardroom Citadel token emissions that go into the Citadel for the developer position in the Citadel. And that's the only compensation that the team gets?
That's right.
Okay. So do you know who developed the smart contracts?
Arita and his dev team.
Okay. All right. And are the smart contracts audited? And if so, by whom?
Yeah, they're audited by Oxguard.
Okay. And I looked through these. They seem pretty straightforward. Oxguard is well known. They're used by a lot of popular projects out here, like Grape Finance, and a lot of other projects that you're most likely familiar with. So yeah, Oxguard, they've been around a while. And everything, I looked through these, everything checked out. The changes they recommended were made. So you guys check this out. It's in their white paper. All this is, they got 2 audit reports here for the Genesis stuff and then 1 for everything else. So check out those audits if you want. And do you have any multi-sigs on any of the smart contracts?
I don't know about that either. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I appreciate that answer than a BS answer, honestly. So, and I could check some of this stuff. Like, I don't know what's the Citadel. Let's see. I can actually see potentially who owns it. If I go to read contract, usually it'll have like an owner. Here we go. The owner is 93BD. Let's see. And I like to do this on the fly in some of my videos just to real quick show people like if they want to learn how to kind of check. So yeah, the owner is 93BD, and yeah, I don't know who this is, but this might also be, no idea. Anyway, looks like a project owned thing. So, you know, interesting. If you guys want to poke around, I always recommend poking around on stuff. They're also the operator, and you can also see it usually on these contracts. So if you go to write, you can kind of see what functions they might be able to do, like renounce ownership. So that 93BD person could come here and renounce this once they're sure they've got it all set up correctly. That's usually how it goes, and then it's off in the wild, and then you can't do anything. You can't fix it, like reset rewards here, or set claim fee %, set enabled. So like they can modify this on the fly probably, like the protocol own liquidity address. So like this is all stuff that's pretty typical. There's always some centralization until they renounce ownership with this. So they'll probably let it run in the wild for a little bit, and then once they're sure like this is exactly how we want it, then they'll probably renounce it. That's just my opinion. There's some level of centralization here, but that is basically every single project that we talk about. So it always comes down to, do you trust the team? You know, how much do you trust them? And what's their track record like? The same stuff you should be asking for every single project. There are very few projects that are fully renounced and trustless because they usually get exploited or something's wrong with them and nobody then can fix them, and then they're just like dead out flying in space, you know. Yeah, so there you go. There's a little education for some of you if you guys aren't familiar with those concepts. All right, so would your project be able to survive if you or one of the core team members left?
Well, it would definitely survive if I left because I'm not part of the core team. But if one of the members of the core team left, I'm sure it would still survive. They have a good group to draw from, and there's other resources that they use too. But I'm sure there'd be some downtime, or obviously in any project like this, it would hurt, but I'm sure it would survive.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you think your project would survive if this bear market continued for a few more years?
That's tough to say for anybody. I think I guess off the top of my head, I'd say I personally, for what my personal opinion's worth, don't think that will be the case. But and I know this is kind of important to everybody with all the rug pulls that have been going on lately. So it is important to know. But I trust this team just because of the longevity that they have, the fact that they did such a good job with Champion, and have continued to even develop that protocol down the road. So I believe in the team. I believe in their vision. Obviously, they're quite capable of developing anything that they want, and by doing that, they've showed their commitment in the past. So based on that, I don't have any reason to believe that commitment wouldn't continue on. So I think they're dedicated to the long haul. They don't expect amazing results overnight. They want to put out a product that's good and that will last for the long run. So I'm sure they're willing to stick it out.
Yeah, and for those who don't know them, check out my AMA with Champion Finance with Aaron. He's doxed. He shows his face, and they've run Champion for a long time. There have been no accusations of foul play or anything like that. So they are kind of a common name out here in the space, Champion Finance. So yeah, I like them. Hopefully everything keeps going smoothly with the team and how they've been operating. Now, okay, so with all that being said, what do you think is the biggest risk to participants in your project, Defender Finance?
Well, obviously the standard disclaimer is all of DeFi at this point is risky. So, invest only what you're willing to lose or what you feel comfortable with at this point. But, Defender has based this project on the longevity of Binance and Ethereum, and I believe in both of those. So, but that's a risk factor you have to take into consideration. If they're wrong about Ethereum and Ethereum goes away, then obviously the project's in trouble.
Yeah.
Other than that, the biggest risk is, getting enough people to understand the seemed complexity of the protocol and be willing to learn it and get involved in it.
Okay. So, just to reiterate, if I understood you correctly, market factors, DeFi in general, you never know how anything's going to go. And then the overall complexity you think might be a barrier to entry for some people who aren't used to these kind of projects.
Yeah, I think it's more a perceived complexity.
Right.
It's just a matter of what people are used to. There was so many, at one point, there were so many tomb forks coming out, and they all were cookie cutter versions, so everybody knew what it looked like. But now they're starting to evolve, and Defender's a little different in some areas. So it's just some new features that people need to learn and understand.
Okay. So with that being said, what do you think is the best strategy for participants? So say one of these brand new people come in and say, hey, I want to take a shot at Defender Finance, doesn't look so tricky to me, what would you say is the best strategy? Not financial advice or anything like that, but if you were to play it yourself, what would you do?
I don't want to be a cop out, but that my typical answer to that is, and I think it needs to be, honestly. Everybody's different, so I don't try to give somebody a best strategy. What works for me isn't going to work for you. Well, it might. But it might not be what you're comfortable with. You have to do what you're comfortable with. I have to do what I'm comfortable with and what I understand. But like we were talking just a few minutes ago, it might be best just to dip your toes in and get involved in the farms to start out with. Put some in the depot. Like you said, it's easy to get in. If you decide that it's not for you, it's easy to get back out. There's no long-term commitment, but that would be for each person to decide on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Everybody makes their own decision. Some people might have some disposable cash that they want to, play some DeFi stuff with, and like some people, like me at times, might not because of vet bills, but or because I've been rugged in the past and I am recovering to get some more disposable income. But if I were to do this based on my personal style, like I said earlier, I'd probably be in the depot or the auto compounders in the champion optimizer, because I don't check my decks, my DeFi stuff often. Maybe every few days. I just don't have time. I get caught up in stuff. So if I was in like the Citadel, I might be playing it inefficiently compared to other people. So I would probably be I'd just be LP farming like an old schooler. Yeah. Oh, by the way, there are shield bonuses right now in that Citadel contract, the ROI contract. That's like the detonator from EMP. How do you get those shield bonuses? Is there anything specific that you have to do?
I don't. That's another question I don't know the answer to. I hadn't really thought about that.
Okay.
I need to find out.
I did see a note somewhere.
I don't know. I would assume that it would be added to the claim function, where if you claimed, that LP would go in, and then any any shield that you would have been rewarded to would be put in your wallet at the same time. But I don't know that for sure. I can check on that and find out.
Okay, sounds good. And I just want to make sure we covered everything with the Citadel. So 90% of the deposits go to the pool balance, 10% gets split up, where 4% goes to protocol owned liquidity and 6% goes to the instant deposits. And the daily rewards are between 1.5 to 3% of total pool balance to all stakers. And yeah, that sounds pretty good. I thought I saw an announcement maybe about that shield boost coming in, and I wanted to make sure if that is the case, I don't I don't miss that in case there's specific instructions. But I don't think I missed it.
Yeah, and there's yeah, I don't, and there's nothing. I'll have to ask the team too. Probably, I don't know if they plan on adding something to the Citadel page that would show any of those rewards. Well, those are it might just be a team that the team's going to do that, because it's a weekly pool based on Okay, that's one thing we didn't cover, so maybe I should do that real quick. That Shield bonus pool that's in the Citadel is a weekly pool, and it's only allocated to new direct deposits into the Citadel. It does not include compounds, and it does not include claims from the fortress, the CL token, claiming the CL token in the fortress that would get transferred to the Citadel. It's only if an investor formed brand new LP and staked it in the Citadel.
That's right.
And then those rewards run from Thursday to Thursday, 0 UTC time. But I'm not sure how they get, or when they'll get rewarded. That part is what I have a question about. I'd have to find out about.
Okay, so in order to get that in order to get the shield bonus from the team's allocation of shield tokens, to get that in the Citadel, you have to deposit into new CL into the Citadel, right?
Right. It has to be brand new CL, and for every one CL that's deposited into the Citadel for that week, 5 of the team shield tokens will be allocated to that, and obviously divided up proportionately based on the percentage of the total amount that was deposited that week that you deposited. You would get the corresponding percentage of that. So it's 5 shield tokens for every one Citadel, up to the maximum, up to 100% of the team's allocation for that week.
Okay. So for every 1 LP of CL that's in there, essentially
right.
there are 5 shields.
Correct.
Okay, distributed. Good to know. So there you guys go. If you want to get that, if you want to get the shield emissions that would be going to the team, you have to deposit new CL tokens into the Citadel to qualify, and they're it's like a Thursday to Thursday type thing, and it's weekly. So if you do it once a week, then you get the bonuses up to 100% of the team's 10% of the shield emissions, right?
That's correct.
Awesome. All right. So that's really great to know. I just want to make sure that we said they're going to get it based on the diagram, but I knew there was like some nuance to it.
Some of the little details that we forgot to cover.
Yeah. Also, I have another kind of cool thing to cover. Let me just double check, make sure. Before I get to the big surprise, I want to ask you, where do you see this project in 6 months to a year?
That would be something. I think that would be a question for the dev team. I'm not in that position to make plans on the direction of the protocol or where I see it going. I have my dreams of what I hope would happen, but that's out of my control. So
I see. Okay. And where do you see this project in 3 to 5 years?
Ditto the previous answer.
And okay, so before I get to my big surprise, do you have anything else you want to tell the audience today?
Oh wow, I'm about talked out. This is the longest I've talked in a long time. Off the top of my head, no. I think we covered it all quite thoroughly. So I can't think of anything.
I mean, it's only 4 a.m.
Yeah, I hadn't stayed up this long in a long time.
Well, we've been talking from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's amazing.
This has been quite the AMA. So with that, I want to end this on a bang. It's been a great night. We've defied our brains out essentially, and I want to do a giveaway. Actually, Defender Finance is doing a giveaway. So thank you Mercury and Aaron and the team. So they, as part of this AMA, they are giving me 300 of the Citadel tokens to $300 worth to 3 people. So 3 people will get $100 worth of the Citadel tokens, the CLB token for the ROI Citadel contract. So $300 YaBonks giveaway coming soon. Check it out. Link in the description. $300 Citadel tokens, $100 to 3 people each. Defender Finance. Check it out. And I'm probably going to do a Gleam.io giveaway. I'll set that up before I publish the video. It's going to be super fun. And yeah, what do you think of that?
Well, can I go back and change my recommendation on how to get involved in the protocol then? My recommendation is to, do whatever YaBonks says to do and win your $100 and then put that in the protocol. That's the easiest way to get involved.
It'll be so easy. Like, I'll just be like, follow them on Twitter, join their Discord server, and that's how you get entries. It'll be super easy. So yeah, that'll be awesome. Get people started in the Citadel. And it's so early that like $100 is would be a good starting position in there.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I think just to let newbies know, the white paper has recommendations for how to play these things that is supposed to be ideal for ROI into the 365% fastest, as well as sustaining the protocol the best. This is not financial advice, not my information. It's coming straight from the white paper, and they recommend a 5 days compounding, 2 days claiming in the Citadel, or a 6-day compounding, 1 day claiming in the Citadel. And that's similar to EMP's recommendations too. And then in the depot, the LP farms, they recommend 75% recompounding and 25% profit taking. Now, I don't know if that's right for you. That's just what the white paper says and what the team recommends. So do whatever's right for you, though. That's what they say is best for the protocol. Anyway, I think we've covered everything, David.
I'm sure we didn't. Obviously,
I'm sure we did.
There was so much to cover, but we did a smashing good job of taking care of all of it.
Absolutely. I'm also going to be doing that AMA with EMP Money in the next week or two, so I'll be sure to ask them about the Defender Finance Detonator as a Service contract potentially rolling out on their DApp. I'm also doing an AMA in the next week or two with Vertek, the balancer style Dex on BNB that a little birdie told me Defender Finance might have a core pool in it. By the way, that little birdie wasn't David, Defender team, if you're wondering. I'm friends with the Vertek people. So, yeah, I've heard good things are coming, and I'm going to ask them all about it on my Vertek AMA in the next week or two. So, look for those videos. Sign up for the giveaway for $300, well, $100 to 3 people for Citadel tokens. David, I just want to thank you so much for taking, I don't know how many hours, what is that, like 9 hours or something of your time to work with me putting this together so we could explain this properly to everybody. So thank you, David.
Well, thank you. I know you're a busy man. Thanks for squeezing us in and for all the time before that you put in. You've had a long day, so.
They're all long days, but I love what I do. I wouldn't change it. So again, thank you for going through my crazy process with me. And thank you everybody for watching. I know this was a long one, but if you watched it all the way to the end, you probably learned a heck of a lot. Leave a comment if you like this. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Like the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.